All right. Hi, everyone. We are live here. Welcome to the first episode of the Expose series where I'm interviewing 7 amazing entrepreneurs that are going to share their wisdom with you so that you can see what it really takes to build a multiple six-figure business, really owning your truth and setting the foundations right so that you can scale. And especially today, we have Ashley Kirkwood, who's an attorney for entrepreneurs. And she's amazing because she's really going to give you the foundation so that you can protect yourself and your brand as you build your business. And we're also going to be talking about how to get yourself on stage because I know a lot of you want to increase your visibility. So we're going to be talking about what is the process to get yourself on stage so that you can get more visible. And she's also really good at helping you get yourself impressed. So, hi, Ashley. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am so good. So just so people can understand a little bit of your background, tell us a little bit about what you focus on doing for entrepreneurs, like an intro so that people understand a little bit more about you.
Definitely. So my name's Ashley Kirkwood. You can find me on Instagram at The Ashley Nicole Show. I'm the founder of both Mobile General Counsel, which is a law firm for entrepreneurs, and the speaking brand called Speak Your Way to Cash, which is also the name of our Facebook group. And what I do through my law firm is I help entrepreneurs protect or bulletproof their brands, as we like to say, which means that I help them develop their contracts and their trademarks and all the things all you fun entrepreneurs don't really want to think about. Mm-hmm. That's what keeps me up at night. And so I highly recommend any new entrepreneur talk to 2 people, a lawyer and an accountant. Mm-hmm. Through my speaking business, I travel all around the country, and this year it'll be all around the world, speaking to audiences full of either college students or corporate professionals. And I'm a paid speaker through that company. And then I've also started an event brand called Speak Your Way to Cash, where I teach people how to land paid speaking engagements and land themselves on big stages like TEDx.
Awesome. So good. Yeah, I think law is not something that entrepreneurs really want to think about at the beginning. And then I think a lot of people then face it a little bit too late once they had a problem with a client. So I think I definitely want to share this with you guys because I know that is not super sexy to think about this and contracts and trademarks, but ever since, I started as an entrepreneur, I work with clients who tell me, oh my gosh, your contract's so amazing. I don't have anything like that. How do I, I've had experiences with clients where they ghosted me. And so we want to cover some of that, how to protect yourself so that you have really great relationships with your clients and you set really great a foundation for your business. So I'm super excited to talk about this, even though you may not be thinking about it right now. So let's start by talking about something that one of our members actually asked me the other day, and she was really interested about this interview because she had an episode last year where her client basically didn't honor the contract. So I would love to ask you, Ashley, what would you recommend to somebody so that this doesn't happen to them, and what are the ways for to start at least baseline getting yourself protected from clients that don't want to honor their contracts?
Yeah, definitely. So when thinking about whether or not you have to have contracts. That's step one. It sounds like she had one, but they didn't honor it. Mm-hmm. You write your contracts based on the way the contract is written and hopefully reviewed, it will increase the probability of someone actually abiding by it. So a lot of people have contracts, but they never review it with the client before they sign it. Mm-hmm. And so what that means is that people, like we do every single day, will sign a contract without reading it. Think about when you go to get your cell phone checked, scroll to the bottom and sign. You don't read it. Why? Right. Because you need the phone. If they're coming to you, they already want to work with you, which means they don't really care what your contract says. They want to work with you, and they don't know how to review or read contracts. So more than likely, they're not going to think about going through it term by term. So what I recommend is not only having an ironclad contract, but go over it with the client. And when you go over it, you can talk about the big provisions. I want to make sure your name is correct on here. Are you an LLC or an INC? Where are you incorporated? In the online world, it's amazing how many people don't know the address of their client. If you don't know the address, you can't serve them. So that means if they were to breach the contract and you wanted to sue them, you don't know where to sue them at. So you want to go through those provisions, and then you want to go over the breach provision. Like as it states here, your deposit's non-refundable. We do give you a 7-day grace period on payments, but after that, there's a tax of 10% every single day you don't pay on time. I just want to make sure you understand the terms. It seems intimidating, but people don't do it.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want them to leave my business and I'm so scared. But honestly, as someone who makes money in business, like I don't think about you can't think about what's going to happen if you lose everything. That's not how bosses think. So typically, if a client won't sign my contract, then they're not my client. I approach business from the perspective of everything that's for me, I already have. It's just a matter of when I'll get it. So because of that, I'm not operating my business from a place of fear and lack and limitation and, oh my God, what if they don't sign? Like that doesn't make sense because you don't want every client. You want the right client. And if you're bogged down, sign contracts, who won't commit, you'll miss all the awesome people who will commit and who will pay your full rate on time.
Amen. I'm so glad that you touched on this because that's one of the things that I help my clients do. Really attract high level quality clients who are a hell yes, who are not in and out, like, I don't really want to sign this or I don't really want to sign up with you. And then you have to pressure them to sell. Like, that's not the kind of business that you want to be running. And that's not the type of client that you want to be working with. So I love that you talked about this. And I'm super interested to hear more about your mindset when it comes to approaching business. And I love what you said, like, thinking about things as if they were already yours, like acting like that's just a matter of time, you know? So tell me a little bit more about that mindset that you have, because you have an amazing TEDx talk that you actually published yesterday about confidence. And I love your mindset when it comes to just being a boss and a female boss. So tell me a little bit about that mindset so you're not kind of feeling like you have to feel weird about asking people to like go over your contract.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, and this was when I first started my business, I had just come from working at a really large law firm. Like it was a place where I didn't really have to worry about lack or limitation at all. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that it did was it allowed me to talk to multimillionaires every single day at my firm. There were people there making like $38 million a year. So I was like, oh my God, this is crazy amounts of money. I've never met people with this much money before. And when I talked to them, they just approached everything with this high level of confidence. And they were like, you know what, if we lose a trial, then whatever, we'll win it on appeal, or whatever the law is wrong, we'll get the law changed. Like everything was a positive mindset. And I think when we get overwhelmed with business and we get caught up in the numbers and the figures and we're like, oh, we're not making enough money. And I know this is all about making multiple six figures. But the reality is, if you were to think about things from this perspective, what if you were to get, and this is what I've been thinking about this week, what if you were to get everything you want, everything you've ever worked for, everything you ever dreamed of, but you didn't get it unless you didn't give up for 10 years straight? Would you not give up for 10 years straight? And for me, the answer is absolutely. I wouldn't give up. I'd keep going. And with that perspective, I know it won't take me 10 years to hit even my first revenue goal. So I'm like, all right, cool. So if that's the case, then I might as well relax and act like I already have it and just walk in that. I think it's important that we keep our minds, like we're relentless about protecting our confidence. And so that's kind of the currency of confidence, which is the TEDx talk. So if you all want to see it, you can just Google Ashley Kirkwood, currency of confidence, or add me on Facebook and I'll add you guys today and we can, I'll share that.
Yeah, I really love that mindset so much because, this is actually what this series is about. Like taking you behind the scenes of the dreamy, the thing that is sexy, like 7-figure business, 6-figure businesses, multiple 6-figure business, right? Like that's the dream. That's what we see on the ads. That's what we see on the titles. But what does it actually take to get there? What is the resilience, the confidence, the I'm not going to give up until it's mine that is required in order for you to step into that? So I love that we're landing here because this is what it actually takes to build not only a 6-figure, but whatever figure business that you want. It's really this piece of confidence and knowing that even if the evidence, it's not right there, which I love what you said that because that's my mindset too. I watch your a little bit of the TEDx talk, right? Even when the evidence is not there, it's acting despite of the evidence not being there. Like you tell us about your story when you were that you wanted to get into law school and then you got denied and then all of that because the evidence was not there for you to make it.
Yeah, definitely. So I wrote this book called The Law School Hustle, and it's all about how I went from having a 2.0 GPA in undergrad to graduating with a 3.86 from Northwestern Law. And when I was an undergrad, I just didn't have the grades. I graduated, but barely. After I graduated, I applied to a law school, didn't get in anywhere. And the second time, I ended up taking a job down the street from the law school that it denied me the previous year. And I just went in the woman's office, the admissions officer's office, every single week or every single month until I got in eventually. Mm-hmm. And I just told her, like, I'm going to come here for as long as it takes until you all admit me. So either you're going to let me in or we're just going to become besties. Like, this is going to happen because I don't. And it was, for me, it was like, I would take the train for my first job or my second job after undergrad. I would take the train all the way to Evanston to go to work. In Chicago, it's kind of far from the suburbs where I live. And every day I'd have to see the law school. And I'm just a firm believer that God doesn't put things in front of my eyes that I'll never have just to tease me. I don't think he's that like horrible of a person. So I'm like, okay, I must be able to get into this law school. So when I didn't get in, I had this choice, and it was like, are you going to say you didn't get into law school at all? Or is it going to be, I didn't get into law school yet? And people get really caught up on like, oh, I don't have money. And I'm like, yeah, yet. Like, maybe you don't have money yet. Maybe you haven't reached 6 figures yet. And my husband's like, oh, when people come up to me on the street and they're like, oh, I saw you on TV. You're on the Jam. He's like, oh, you're famous. I was like, well, not yet, but I will be. And it's like, you know, you have to have that mindset, because no one else is going to give you that energy. Like, no one else is going to do anything. And when it comes to business, one of the things that I've said several times to the people that I mentor and coach through my programs is like, they won't buy until you believe. So if they're not buying, you don't believe. Because if you believed, you would do it every single day. You would tell every single person about it. You would be relentless about your follow-up. Like, even in planning this interview, like, Juliana, you were relentless. You're like, okay, like, this is what you need to post. This is what you need to do. Make sure you tell your audience, here's the copy. Like, this is what needs to happen. And sure enough, like, I don't know how much you tell your audience, but like, she provided what we need to post because she knows her brand so well. So when she posted it, even though it was on my page, on my firm website, which I have 2 Instagram accounts. One has like 10,000, over 10,000. One has like 300. On the one with 300, it got the most interaction because of the copy. So it's like 15 people under there like, how do I get in this group? But if she wasn't relentless, because all of us are busy running our businesses. And one of my employees works in another country. One works in Chicago with me, and like, we all work virtually. So they had to get into it. But she was messaging me. I'm messaging them like, look, you got to get this done. She's serious about this. And because she believes in this, I'm like, all right, this is a big deal. We got to get this done, get these posts out, figure out how to use Skype, like, do all these things. But it's like, no one is going to do anything for you unless you make them believe, or unless your belief is so strong that it draws them in. And as entrepreneurs, we get uncomfortable telling people about our business. But unless you're some sleazy car salesman, if what you sell can literally change the impact and trajectory of people's lives, which that's how much you should believe in it, then it's easy to tell people about it every single day. Like, my job when I wake up is like, how can I get my business in front of new people every single day, online and offline? It's 2 different marketing strategies. Totally. And you have to do both in order to really build a brand that can be $1 billion brand.
Oh, mic drop. This is it, you guys. Bye. That's all we needed. This is it. This is really it. This is what it takes. This is really what it takes, because you're right. You have to be relentless. It's like like if you guys, and right now in the group, there are 140 people who sign up for this challenge of 30 days of exposing your truth, which is creating content, really sharing your message, and inviting people to work with you. And it's not easy. Like, I did it last year, and it was amazing, and it gave me so many amazing results in my business, but it takes effort and you gotta show up every single day. And yes, it's not easy, but that is what gets you the results. And so I love everything you said, because it's in complete alignment, and it's perfect for everybody who's watching this, who's in the group, because that's what it takes to really build that business, is the consistency, selling yourself on what you create first. Then you don't have a problem going through your contracts with people, because you're like, look, this is gonna change your life.
Yeah.
This program is exactly what you need. This is what's going to change your life. We're going to get there. And these are the terms, right? So everything just kind of falls into place when your self-belief is there. When you believe that your product and your service is just, and when you believe in yourself, that no matter what happens, you will figure it out, that you're going to give an epic experience to your clients because you want to help them, right? Like, this is not about you making money. Is about you serving people, because that just brings the money back, right? Like, it's just like the cycle comes back to you when you are being of service. So everything you said was so good. Oh my gosh. Amen. This is what this group is all about. So it's so great. Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about since we have only 15 more minutes, let's talk about speaking, because I know that that's a big part of what you do, and a lot of people want to know more about visibility, confidence. How do you feel confident in getting yourself on a stage and all of the bits and pieces? Like, I'll tell you, I was speaking in New York the other day, and I was still nervous. I've done it before, and I was still like, oh my gosh. Like, I felt nervous. And I can only imagine for people who have never really done it before, even just the thought of like, am I even worth speaking? Like, let's start there, because a lot of the people in this group are probably thinking like, what do I even talk about? Like, what would people want me on stage? So let's start from there.
Definitely. So one, I drop all the background tips on speaking into the Speak Your Way to Cash Facebook group, and it's a free group. I don't know if that'll change, but it's a free group right now. It's like every time I sign a contract, I'll tell them how I negotiated it, all that stuff. So if you want that info, go to Speak Your Way to Cash, the Facebook group, and join. In terms of your confidence to even get you on stage, one, there's like 3 different things that's going on here. One, if you want to be a paid speaker, you have to pitch in order to get on stages. So your confidence has to start even before you get on the stage to say like, okay, I need to get my message out there. But before you can pitch, like you said, you have to know what you're going to talk about. Mm-hmm. And so there's kind of 2 avenues I suggest. If you're a business owner, you can speak to sell, which means you speak for free some places because the audience is your ideal audience, and thus you can bring back business for your company. And that's easier to do because for the organizer, as long as you truly are an expert in your field, they'll want you to speak. Right. So the only reason you can't sell your speech for free is because you're not providing value in your pitch. So when I pitch, I always try to make it, 1, really short. 2, the information. I just attach a link. But I'll tell them in the email, like, hey, I'm Ashley Kirkwood. I'm a speaker. I've spoken to more than 5,000 people this year, and help them to learn the following 3 things. I think your audience could benefit from these. If you'd like to see me speak, click this link. Do you have time for a call Wednesday? And I always say Wednesday because I do all my pitch calls on the same day, because I'm like, my schedule is like ridiculous. And so I do all my pitch calls on the same day. So for some people, they're like, oh, how do you make it all happen? Like, I don't. I just make pitch calls happen on Wednesday. I make client work happen on Thursday. So like, I kind of segment my calendar. But you need to figure out what it is you speak about. So if you already do a service, if you're saying you're a branding expert, or you're a consultant, or you're a graphic designer, then all of those are topics that you could speak about. And when figuring out how to craft, I'm doing a live video in my Speak Your Way to Cash group today. It's been scheduled for about a month, on how to craft your signature speech. So you want to make sure you're educating, you're empowering, and you're exposing them to new content every single time. So if you can educate, empower, and expose, then maybe it's 3 tips on. That's like the easiest way to figure out what to talk about. 3 tips on graphic design, what you need to know, what colors you need to use, how to choose a designer. And if you are speaking to sell, meaning you're speaking in order to get clients, the examples and the stories and the statistics that you use need to be relevant to clients that you've helped. So you shouldn't just be telling random stories about other people's business. That doesn't help you get money. It needs to be like, I was working with a client yesterday, and what we discussed was this. And, you just did it just here. Like, this is what I talk to my clients about. Every story should be like, this is what my clients have experienced. These are, if it's true. I mean, if you don't have clients, then it's going to be tough. But if you have clients and results, those are the stories you talk about. And you don't say, buy from me now. You say, these are the results. This is why this is important. I recently helped someone figure this out after giving them the information that you need. Now, if you're not an entrepreneur, you're looking to be a paid speaker, so you want to make revenue from speaking, and that's what I do as well. I do both, like one under my law firm and one under my speaking company. So when I'm brought in by companies to do a keynote presentation for a corporate conference or any of that, then I have a signature speech that I sell. So I sell them on the currency of confidence, and I let them know this can be converted in either a workshop or a keynote presentation, or a training for your employees. And so it's all about how you pitch your expertise. And then you don't have to give them a whole written speech. What you'd say is, I tailor each presentation to your organization, but you should have a framework. So my framework is MBA, Mindset, Beliefs, and Actions. So that's kind of the 3-step framework that I take most of my trainings through. Your framework needs to be something that you think about that's unique, that someone else isn't already using. So you want to be creative about a framework, but once you have your framework and all that stuff, you'll be well on your way to crafting your signature speech. And then all you do is you pitch it. Your speech is your product. That's what you're pitching. Right. And if it's not a speech, it's your expertise is your product. That's what you're pitching to get on stage.
Totally. This is exactly the framework, what you just, I mean, a lot of the pieces that you talk about is part of your branding and marketing, really understanding your message and what is the message that you stand for, and then what is your unique methodology. So I help my clients define their unique methodology, because when you create the steps that you guide people through, it can be like 3 to 5 steps or 3 to 6 steps, that becomes your signature talk, or one of those steps can become your signature talk. That way you're always consistent with your message, you're always driving the same points home, but you're just using different examples of case studies to kind of bring the point home. So this is it
needs to be memorable. So that's how you can tell. If someone heard your speech, could they repeat back the 3 steps? Would they remember MBA, or would they remember Triple E, Expose, Educate, Empower? Would they remember these things? If not, then something's off. But if so, then you could do a lot more with that speech, and it'll go further, because then they'll tell other people about it, and that's good marketing for you.
Totally. I love that you use the word expose, obviously, because I'm all about exposing the truth, and then all of a sudden the word expose is in your method. So another reason why I like you.
Yeah, definitely.
We are like-minded. Cool. Okay. So I love you said so many amazing points about speaking. So if people want to kind of get into it, you mentioned that you can either go like speak for free to sell, right? As long as you have like a really valuable talk. I'm just repeating back just to make sure that I got what you said. And then you can also get paid, corporations, and what are the other people that can pay you? Associations?
So corporations, colleges, associations, nonprofits, some church organizations, trade associations. There's several groups that can pay. Each one will have a different, there's a whole way to find them. And that's kind of what we talk about in Speak Your Way to Cash, which is coming up in Chicago. And then I'll be doing it in Atlanta and maybe Miami after that. So I know Chicago and Atlanta are planned, but that's what we talk about, finding it and kind of sniffing out whether or not they have budgets. Cause it's kind of hard to do, because some corporations will invite you to speak and they won't pay. And it could just be that you didn't ask the right department. So all of that, there's kind of a science behind your sales strategy there. But you have to have a sales strategy, which is something, we haven't talked about. But like, I know a lot of business owners that are like, they're posting on Facebook and they think that's a sales strategy, and it's not. So you need a funnel for getting new people into your business.
Totally. I love that so much. Okay, cool. So what kind of industries do you work with, or what kind of entrepreneurs are qualified or a good target to speak at colleges, like health, because a lot of people in my audience are consultants, coaches, and their audiences vary. So I'm just curious, like, is that your process applicable to coaches and consultants, and who else?
Definitely. So my process is perfect for anyone that has an expertise. I believe any expertise can be packaged in a way that'll be appealable to a collegiate or corporate audience. What a lot of people struggle with is the packaging, not the actual expertise. So most people already have some level of expertise. So if you have some level of expertise, something that you're passionate about, what we do with Speak Your Way to Cash, which is also the name of the podcast, is we help you package it. Mm-hmm. So it's all about packaging it. So no matter what you do, we can package that message to be relevant. The things that colleges care about are things that can get their students more informed, more engaged, more empowered, more excited about the college experience. And you could speak at orientations, or you could speak to different departments. If you are a diverse speaker and you've overcome challenges, that's a whole talk within itself in the motivational realm. For colleges, even if you do health and fitness, it could be a wellness talk. Mm-hmm. Or it could be a mindfulness talk if you're a therapist. And so there's a lot of different, it's just you have to know the buzzwords for the industries to sell it. If you do digital marketing, you're really great at Twitter and all of that stuff, and Instagram and social media, then there's associations of small business owners that would pay you to come and do a presentation on social media and branding. Mm-hmm. So there are any number of talks you can do. So it's definitely relevant to coaches and consultants. And it's a great stream of revenue for your already existing business. Whatever that business is, speaking could be an additional stream of revenue for you.
I love it. Yeah. And I am all about the online and offline combination. Part of the reason why I've had like that magnetic effect in terms of like what people really want to work with me is because I combine like the online with the offline, because when you're in person, people feel your energy. It's just different. And then they see you online, and then your online game's on point. It's like, oh my gosh, who are you? Wait, I want to work with you, right? That's what happens.
Yeah.
So I always encourage people to have at least 3 different like legs of marketing, right? In person, offline, and then your outreach too. So that you're covering yourself, as you said, you know, it's not just one or the other. And just to bring it back to the point, you guys, that's what it takes to really build an amazing business. It's not just like, let me post on Facebook once and then wait for people to like call me to pay me in full. It takes work. You got to show up consistently, right?
And they need to see you in different avenues. And that's really where the press piece of it comes into it, is because for me, before someone comes to me, they've already seen me. If they're in Chicago, they've seen me on the WCIU in the morning talking about like celebrity legal news. They've heard me on a podcast from one of their friends. They've seen me on something like this. They've seen me in their Facebook groups doing lives. And I reached out to you. So I do outreach for people who have audience that I think there's some alignment with. And I don't do what you do, and you don't do what I do. So it's perfect for like collaboration purposes. Perfect. So that's another thing. I have brand coaches that I work with, profitability strategists that I work with. We've done events together that have been super profitable. Like the last brand coach I work with picked up 4 new executive clients on like 4-figure contracts. So like there's all these different people, because my audience, I mean, they buy legal services. They're not cheap, right? So they're prone to other great business owners, and they know that I never refer them to anyone who's like trash or not good. Right. So it's a trust there. So you have to develop good collaborations with people that have a really good brand that you can trust and that are professional. And so there's a lot of different ways to do it. But for press, if anyone's like, oh my goodness, I don't think I could be on TV or any of that, the easiest press to get on is podcasts. Just reach out, slide DM of the podcast, go on their info session and submit, and just tell them what you want to teach their audience. Like 2 sentences about you, and I want to teach your audience these 3 points. I think they would really benefit. Before you do that, listen to the podcast, make sure it's a good fit, and then send out pitches. Try to send out like 5 a day and see what happens. Like you'll be overwhelmed with responses. You'll do all these podcasts, and it'll be very helpful.
Yeah. A really good tip that I want to add to that, how to pitch to podcasts, is really like find the podcast that you love and that you love listening to, right? And then tell them like, hey, I love your podcast. I have implemented all these things. It's really changed my life in this and this way, just to get started if you don't know who to reach out to. Yeah. And I would love to add some value to your audience, right? Like I think for us creators that we have an audience, when people reach out to us and we're like, and they're like, look, I've implemented your stuff. I love your brand. Like your message resonates with me, and I've implemented it in this way, or I've been following you for a while. I would love to add some value to your audience. Like, why not? If you're already part of my community, I want to give you the microphone, right? Like, I think you reach out to me as well that way. You're like, hey, I see your brand, and like, because I think you got access to my Facebook group, my old one, I don't know. Yeah. But point being, you were like, hey, I would love to add some value to your audience. And that's how this is happening now. So just for anyone out there who feels a little bit like, where do I start? Podcasts seem a little bit intimidating. You just want to look at what are the podcasts that you're listening to, and then how can you give some value and tell them like, hey, I love your stuff. Can I offer some value to your audience? So love all these points. So, oh my gosh, this is so helpful. And I want to ask you one last question. What is a message that you would want to give the people in my audience who, are probably starting from like year 0 to 5 in their business, and they really want to take it to the next level? They're looking for that, the edge that is really going to take them to 6 figures and beyond. What is really like, what's the behind the scenes stuff that you really want to share with them?
Yeah, definitely. So the behind the scenes stuff that I want to share is that no one's famous online. So, and what I mean by that is people think like because you're on these podcasts or you have these platforms that you, like everyone's just reaching out to you every day, you live this glamorous life. And that's not true. What's typically happening every day you wake up and you are strategically figuring out, okay, who can I pitch? Who can I connect with? Who do I need to sell to? And you're developing lists. I have probably pitched over 700 colleges to get 5 opportunities this year. You see what I'm saying? Like it is in the past week, I've signed on 5 different clients, and it's been from like 700 cold pitches, because cold pitches are the hardest because they don't know you from anyone. Yeah. So, you're really I'm doing like cold pitches, or I'm going out and I'm shaking hands and I'm meeting people, and people think, oh, she's lucky she has a lot of followers on Instagram. I do get a lot legal clients from Instagram, but no, that's not where the longevity of my business will inevitably come from. So it's going to come from those deep rooted connections. So anyone listening, you have the power to pitch. And I would start off with like, okay, who is my ideal client? If I could think of one person I'd want to work with, where can I find 50 of her? And if you don't have the time to get all of these people's emails and search for them on Instagram and social media, hire a virtual assistant. If you don't have the money to hire one domestically, do it internationally. Figure out a way to get your business up and running and growing. And now with Fiverr and all these different tools and international VAs and virtual assistant savvies, which is a Facebook group where I found one of my international admins, you can do it. Like, there's just no excuse. And then two, like, I have bad days. Like, I have days where I'm just like, oh my God, I didn't make any money today. Or, oh my goodness, no one responded to my emails. Or, what is happening? Why didn't I sell more trademarks this month? So everyone has those days. The only difference between someone who is very successful and someone who isn't is that those days don't define my career trajectory. Like, I had that day, I feel that, and then I do what I need to do anyways because I know it'll work. So you really have to know that it will work for your business. And I know legal stuff is tough, so I know that you'll put up how they can get in contact with me, but if you all text the number that Juliana puts up to join my email list, you could just text Ashley to 66866. Yep. And what I'll do for this audience is I'll raffle off a free contracts online seminar. So it's like a $200 class, but I'll give it to someone who signs up today, and I'll email it out tomorrow. So if you sign up today, I'll know I have the timestamp for everyone who signs up, and then I will give you all that, because someone at least can figure out how to draft their own contracts to make sure that they're good so that people aren't stiffing you on the money you do have coming in. Because you need to keep your money. And the only way you're going to keep it is by having systems. No one wants the money coming in the front and going out the back. So
exactly. Well, thank you so much for that generous offer. I really, really appreciate it. So I just want to repeat that back. So if you text Ashley to 66866, right? That's the number.
That's right.
Okay. Awesome. So where else can people find you? Let's just recap, like, where can you have a group, you have Instagram, tell us everything.
Absolutely. So you can join my Facebook group, Speak Your Way to Cash, by just typing it into Facebook or adding me as a friend. And it's Speak Your Way to Cash, the group for speakers and entrepreneurs. On Instagram, you can find me at The Ashley Nicole Show. And it's just at The Ashley Nicole Show. So like, it's spelled just like my name is written on here. So you all can find that pretty easily. And those are the two easiest ways to connect with me. My law firm's name is Mobile General Counsel. So you can always go to mobilegeneralcounsel.com. If you do sign up for my list, you'll get all of that information. So that's probably the simplest way. So in terms of Facebook, Speak Your Way to Cash, just Google that and I should come right up. On Instagram, at The Ashley Nicole Show, and my law firm's name is Mobile General Counsel. So I hope to connect with all of you really soon. And then, yes, text Ashley to 66866.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here and for being so real and honest and just really taking us behind the scenes of what it actually really takes, and just for sharing all your wisdom with everyone is so valuable. And I cannot wait to do more collaborations with you, because speaking is an amazing way to get our visibility up. Definitely something that I'm doing and I want to continue doing, and I invite everyone else to also invest their time in that activity too. So
yeah, we'll have to talk about doing a collab on the next Speak Your Way to Cash Chicago.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely welcome. I would love to talk more about that. So thank you so much for being here, Ashley, and have an amazing rest of your day, okay?
You too.
Alrighty. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.